All right. Parts to be here this week. We got heads coming. We got lightweight springs coming, so we can check piston and valve clearance, and I can get the right push rod length. There's going to be a couple different things we're going to do to it while it's off. We got some painting to do. We got some polishing to do. We're just going to kind of run through a couple things, but I want to get it back together as fast as possible. I'm going to listen to some music. Unfortunately, you guys can't listen to regular music. You have to listen to... Let's do some blues this time. We'll pick some blues out. You guys can listen to it. I'll run through this pretty quick. I'll speed it up, and if I don't finish today, I'll finish tomorrow, but it'll be all one video for you guys. So I'll have to turn my music off so you can't hear it because they're worried about copyright and some guy in his garage listening to this music while he works on his car can't be in the video. But it's fine. Has fun with the blues. We'll pull this apart and see what the heck happened. if you're new to working on cars, trucks, really anything with an engine, two pieces of advice. I had one. Um, Another one popped in my head just now. So the one I was thinking was it's going to be frustrating at times. You're going to have something that just won't come apart, and you'll find a bolt they stuck behind something, around something, through something that has nothing to do with what you're doing. All right, look, I know you're strong. Don't go breaking things, but it's never easy. Okay, I have torn small black Fords apart and put them back together a million times. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a pain. The second one is if you have fiberglass or dust, I know it's hard. Don't blow it away. Grab something that'll pick it up. Because I almost did, and it wouldn't be the first time. And I would have to walk away because fiberglass would be everywhere in the air. So, really, just take your time, guys. It's going to happen. If you're in a rush, you're in a rush. I get it. It's a pain. But if you have the ability, this is one of the biggest things I learned. And it's something my father told me. If you can walk away 10 or 15 minutes and come back, I don't understand it. Most of the time, it just works. One, you don't get that mad and aggravated, end up messing your car up, your truck up, whatever you're working on. Two, just you're a little calmer. It just helps a lot. There's been times where I have worked on something for hours, and I walk inside, and I eat lunch, I eat dinner, whatever time it is, come back out, and it just comes apart. There's times when I spent 3 days doing that and it never works. But sometimes you need a hammer. Just sparingly use that hammer. Alright, I guess continuing to music. If you've been listening to blues this whole time, let's try some country rock that I normally play because I like listening to that. So I wish you can listen to a song that you like, but like I said, copyright. So enjoy. I'll keep tearing it apart. So far, everything looks good. Um, Great. Just know it's gonna take time, but it'll get there. And if all you have is 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, oh, I got to get I'll get 2 or 3 rockers arm off today. And you do that throughout the week, and by Saturday, you're ready to take the heads off. It's just a little bit of time. And some days it's tough. You work 10, 12 hours a day, and you get off, and you really don't want to mess with it. But if you come out and just don't have a rushed goal of having to get it all done when you walk out, just take your time. These things are hobbies. It's supposed to be fun. It'll get there. And you'll probably be faster than most of the people around you. That's all I got. You can get back to whatever music that you were listening to at the time. All right, so as we're tearing this apart, doing some investigation. All right, it's how you learn things, and it's really the best time. So all around, we found that the exhaust T4 flange was leaking. And then come around here, I noticed that there's oil in every single one of these on both sides. Right? And I was a little concerned that maybe the turbo already went. This car runs 60 psi oil pressure, and I don't know, I had the turbo clock straight up and down, so it shouldn't have had anything built up, but we went over and checked that out. Let's run over to the parts table. Parts came in for the 3.5 EcoBoost, so we'll mess with that in a little bit, but for now, fun stuff. I went and looked on the outlet side of the cold, and no oil at all. This turbo's not blowing oil past it. So then you move down further in the line. None of these intake at all have oil in them. So you try to go even further down, and you find out that there's oil at the very end. And if you look, you can see at the very bottom of the gasket, all the way around, there's oil at the bottom on both sides. So what was happening was, I can only assume that because these heads were milled and those gaskets are a little bit bigger, I'll get the part number if I need to, but alright, so sorry, I got called inside for a second. Daddy duty, you know what I'm saying? So I checked this out and I found Felpro 90103-1. They're a little bit bigger than the ports. Thought those would be okay, but it looks like they weren't. So that, with a combination of these heads being milled down, probably past where they should have been. When that intake goes to the seat on there, if you look down the intake runners, they weren't perfect. So I can only assume all that lined up to it not sealing well in the crankcase. So long story short, pressure from inside the crankcase was getting up into the heads. So it was sucking in oil. So reverse that, as we're building boost, it is actually pressurizing the crankcase, because when it's pulling a vacuum, it's sucking it in. Once you pressurize your intake, it's blowing it into the crankcase if it's not sealed. So it was also causing a problem, because at first I noticed that my crankcase ventilation was fine. I wasn't getting oil everywhere. These last couple runs out, I would have more oil on the windshield and more oil in the engine compartment. So it was definitely pressurizing the crankcase a lot too. Tore that water pump off. I have a standard rotation, so to rotate clockwise. Water pump coming in. So we'll throw that water pump on. We'll get a longer belt to run it around the alternator and the water pump. Obviously the new heads have come in. They're ready to go. And then I should have all the gaskets and stuff ready. So we'll go back to running through this quick. I'll pull the heads off, and then we'll see where we go from there. Alright, real quick while I'm thinking about it. If you look down in here, I can get a good picture of it for you. You can actually see the wear mark on the top of the valve. So I can get a better look at that. So you can see it was nice and centered. The rocker arms were good. Push rod length was good. We'll see if I can use the same length push rods. That'd be really convenient. And that's the case, this thing will get back together even faster. But let's put you back on some time lapse. I'll get the rest of the exhaust off. Get that alternator off. And then we'll be able to check out the top of the pistons. And we'll be able to check out some cylinder walls. Alright, the GoPro died. So all you missed was unbolting the head. But I want you guys to see the first pop off because it's kind of satisfying. Well, and so this side looks fairly decent. I don't see anywhere where it was blowing into. Let's take it off. Let's stay focused on the block. Okay, so there is no where it looks like it was blowing through on this side. The head gasket still looks pretty decent. There's no area, except for where I've ripped all that stuff off, where it was blowing through. So I'm going to assume it was on the other side. But yeah, also 20 pounds of boost and stock 351 bottom end, still good. Alright, I'm going to go charge up the GoPro, and probably come back out tomorrow and take off the other side. It's late. Only had a couple minutes after work. But, like I said, you got to get in when you can. If you want to have fun, you don't have time. You got to make a couple minutes a day.